How will having done this change the way you regard your students and the literacies they might bring with them to the classroom?
Because in a lot of ways, composition is somewhat behind in that multimodality and multimodal writing has been happening in other disciplines for years. These things are already going on, and if it's kind of interesting that we are on the cutting edge and yet we're also not, because so one of the questions I've been asking is, what is the purpose of composition? What are we preparing students to do? What literacies do they need to know? The value that we placed on print literacies for so long in the classroom is really good in a lot of ways for preparing them to do academic writing. But the majority of our students do not go to graduate school. They go to get a job. And so we should value both.
I think it's really important for students to understand when we're studying rhetoric how it is that our lives are sometimes guided by, we are ourselves steeped in a number of topoi that are often, I think, most powerfully visual in nature. And I think the seminar is has given me some ideas about how to present those to students and how to sponsor the reflection on those.
I think this experience of kind of swapping roles will be immensely helpful. I think it will give me more patience again. I think Scott's explanation of iMovie, especially if I teach iMovie, his working through of that process was magical. It really helped me understand things that had frustrated me a lot before. And so I think I'll teach it better. I think I'll teach this process, this way of thinking, more coherently, I hope.
I learned so much from my colleagues about teaching and about what it means to engage students at varying levels, and from both of them, their incredible sense of optimism. When I love the way both of them, when a student suggests that there's a complication or a problem or a frustration, how they turn that into an opportunity for talking about something great and interesting and hopeful. So that's one of the great things I learned from something like DBAC is remember, channel Scott and Cindy, be positive, be open to new ideas.
I know also how invested you can get in a project like this, and my hope is that they would see my emotional attachment there, and that they would want to mirror that a little bit. I pulled an all-nighter working on this video. I think I was up till about 7 in the morning or so, but just because I was so excited about it and because I really wanted to do this. And so my hope is that my students would understand that and would kind of see that and would be inspired at least to have their own emotional investment in it. Not to have them pull all-nighters. I don't think that was entirely healthy, but
I guess as a result of this experience, I will do an assignment before I test it out on my students. I haven't really done that before. I've conceived of the assignment, thought that I work through all of the contingencies, and said, go forth and do this. Now I think that I will definitely do the assignment myself so that I can anticipate some of their frustrations and some of the difficulties they have, and so that I can present really my sense of what I would like them to do and the parameters more clearly than I have before.
I think I would probably start structuring my assignments and kind of things like that differently in terms of giving them enough guidance to kind of know where they're going, but at the same time giving them enough freedom to do what they want. So I think in terms of my interaction with them, in terms of like course documents, syllabus assignments, things like that, that will change. I'm really rethinking the role of Blackboard in my course and maybe moving away from that to something like WordPress that's more open, more accessible in a lot of ways.
I mean, I guess it's really made me think about kind of the assumptions that I make as a teacher. because with this, I came in pretty unfamiliar with this kind of technology, and I am not a Mac user either, so I had to just to get used to that was a little bit difficult. And so thinking about then, what are the assumptions that I'm making, even in the teaching of writing? If I tell my students, all right, I don't really want you to write 5-paragraph essays. You know that form. I want you to break that form. I'm assuming that all my students do know that form, and I'm assuming all my students have been taught a certain way. That's not necessarily true. It's sort of gotten me to think a lot about, what are my students coming in with, and what are they coming in kind of without. So not only kind of am I making sure that I'm creating opportunities for them to ask questions and creating opportunities for them to sort of fill in those gaps, but also am I creating opportunities for them to use the knowledge that they already have and run with that. And am I giving them the freedom to sort of pursue those directions that they're more confident in, that maybe I don't know anything about. And so
I think absolutely the experience will change the way that I regard their literacies. I would say that in some ways this shifting sense for me of what student literacy is was really the impetus for me to come. So I am in a position now where I have taught public speaking courses after exclusively teaching writing for maybe 9 years. And that shift to the public speaking classroom and the surprise at which student, maybe with a fairly flat affect or lack of signs of active participation, gets up in front of an audience and in the mode of performance has a real gift at speaking. That watching that happen again and again has made me very interested in how to help students who might be very skilled at speaking transfer that literacy to a page literacy.
I think about the students who have so often said to me, I see it up here, I know what I want to write, but I can't get it on the page. There's this disconnect between getting it on the page. And so I think definitely I have a better understanding of what that's like. I know what I want to say, but my skill level is not there. So it makes it very difficult.
I know they know more about digital media than I do, and I know that many of them have a greater command of the technology. So this presents an opportunity to create a classroom with more interaction, where I am truly not the expert or the authority, where they can bring their expertise and I can bring my expertise and we can put them together.
I have a feeling that most, at least of my students, are not as digitally literate as they think they are. They have 1 or 2 tricks up their sleeve, and that's kind of it. They can watch a YouTube video. So most of them I know how to do.
One of the things that I've realized from DMAC is that it's important to be patient when someone struggles with certain kinds of literacy. I teach, mostly alphabetic literacy, print literacy, different kinds of writing classes, and I have to say, now that I look at it, I realize it comes easily to me, and that is sort of part of who I am. It doesn't come easily for all of my students, and I think I need to be, this is going to help me a lot in, going in and thinking about the kinds of literacies that they may have that they're stronger at, and trying to, make those opportunities more available for them. But even beyond that, sort of trying to rethink my own pedagogies to account for those who struggle with some of the alphabetic and print literacies that I and probably most of us take for granted.
So I am comfortable with certain technologies, but my undergrad students might be comfortable in some others. So to be flexible also on that note, where I don't kind of impose my idea of literacy onto them and let them find their own way.
But at least I have faith now that anyone can learn it. I think it was really interesting to see the variety of the people in our class here at DMAC and how everyone was able to put together something really impressive in a very short amount of time. So I think that for some of my students, we tend to think that they kind of, like, you're young, you know things. And sometimes they don't. But all of these people, some people had greater fluency in different areas, but everyone produced something really impressive. So, yeah.
It makes me a more generous colleague, I would say, about the professional literacies, and the fact that we're on this precipice, I guess, of trying to figure out what the standards for our profession, what they are in terms of digital literacy and what they're going to be in the future.